Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gaige.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. This is episode number 8. I am your host, Captain Gaige, and guys, it's the third week in November. I'm on the East Coast. I'm sitting in Huntington Harbor. I am still sitting on my boat in shorts and a fishing shirt. It's 55 degrees. The sun is shining, and thank God that sun is out because that's the only warmth you're getting around here. The breeze is a little bit cooler. The water temp behind me says it's 53 degrees, and out there in the Long Island Sound on our fishing expeditions and our charters this week, it was saying as high as 56 degrees. So that water temp is still pretty high, and that's why the bodies of fish are still holding in the area. The bait they're feeding, they're gorging on the bait, and there is just so much bait in the area, and that's why the fish are here. I'm also seeing the guys night fishing here in the harbor for the squid. So there's squid fishing going on, there's striped bass fishing, there's tog fishing, and there's no better time of the year for us right now. We get out there, and you'll see, I could even put a couple of the clips of the drone footage and the GoPro footage that I shot over the weekend of the birds that are out here working. And you can see there wasn't a crazy amount of boiling going on because these fish were all, this body of fish happened to be a little bit smaller. They were 12, 15s, 16s. If you got a 20-inch bass in this mix, you were getting a bigger fish. And I got to say, they really weren't hitting the top water lures as much. They were hitting stuff you imagine the hatch, and we were putting out, sand deals and peanut bunker 6-inch stuff that was getting down a little bit. I cast it out a couple of times, and I let the swim shad fall down a little bit, and a slower retrieve, and I felt it get hit, and then, you feel it come tight, and the top water was not doing it as much. Now, there were no keeper bass in that body of fish. We tried to troll for them. We had so much time out there, and we caught so many fish, and when that's happening, we're going to throw so many different styles of lures at them to see what they're going for. We're even going to put casting eggs on and throw some of the flies out there. So I love when I got to break out the fly box. To me, that's an exciting time of the year when I'm throwing some Clouser minnows. I was even throwing the sand eel looking, anything that mimicked a sand eel and small like this. This was perfect to put on a casting egg to get out there on a really light spinning setup. So a lot of times when I'm on a charter, I don't bring fly rods onto the boat because it's not something, if you don't know how to do it, it's not going to be an easy task. So it's hard enough for people to even cast from a boat, which is something we usually don't do. So we're usually jigging them up or casting, short distances from the boat. And we got into them on Sunday. I mean, it was an epic time. In fact, Megan, Jack's daughter, had high hooks, so she totally won the pool that day on the boat and she was catching a ton of fish. It was one after the other. Every time we turned around, she was pulling over. And they were doubled up. And a lot of times, even we trolled through them to see if we can get something that was down deep. And, we were marking a lot of fish, as you can see here on the sonar. And we were marking bigger fish, is what it looked like on the sonar. So we got mojos down there. We put the umbrella rigs down, and we let them down so that they would get into the bottom. And we did not come up with anything bigger than what we were catching on the swim shads and the topwater action. That body of fish happened to be smaller. And they were here all afternoon because Sunday I was 8 to 12 on the charter. I went back out there that afternoon with Corey, my first mate. We shot out, and the birds were still working until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we switched it up. We didn't even go for them. We went looking for bigger fish, so we moved around to other areas to go find. That's what we love doing. We don't stick around in our area when me and Corey go out after charters. We'll take off and go find fish, whether they're way west or in back bays or wherever it is. We're going to go hunting for them and look for them. And then we'll stop and we'll prospect new areas and do some tog fishing in areas that we've never fished before, which is what we love to do. So this time of the year, as that water temperature drops, the tog are going to move into deeper water. Everybody's catching them in shallow water right now in 30 feet. In fact, Undy just got back. He asked me to use a scale. He had a 7-pounder, 7.2 on the boat. And, he got it in shallow water and like 18 feet of water on my favorite rod, on the Slim Wave rod, which is what I use all the time because I just love catching big fish on a light setup. It's just a ton of fun. And, again, Guys went out over the weekend and used their spot lock and caught 78 fish and didn't have a keeper. So is that attributed to the moon? I'm not saying a lot of guys caught keepers out there. It's just a matter of, what wreck and what rock pile you got on. And, a lot of the most common areas, whether it be Marshall's Field or Bud Reef or any of the reefs that people fish a lot, guys are going to pick the big fish out of there. And when those big fish are picked out, there's none coming back. So once you get all the big fish out of a reef, I think you could definitely clean out a reef, no doubt about it. And this time of the year, they're going to be moving to deeper waters where it's 40 feet and 100 feet into the wrecks and the reefs and the boulders. And, you're going to want to use a stronger line because you might be catching bigger fish. And you're going to want to use a longer fluorocarbon leader so that you don't spook them when you put the rig down. And the snafu rig with a good, whole crab on it going for the big tog, that's what people are doing this time of the year. Everybody's looking for that double-digit 10-pounder. And there are some big fish out there, and there are some big fish being posted on Facebook, and I love seeing it. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than fishing this time of the year. So it's getting chilly. It's getting cold out. And when you leave in the mornings, man, I tell you, you got to have your long johns and your gloves and your hat on. We went over that last week in the podcast. I showed people that you really should have a VHF radio on the boat because if you're going to fall in the water, it's going to be real chilly. That water temperature is fatal right now. So it's coming down to the close of the season. I'm seeing a lot of boats out. There's only about 28, 30 boats left in my marina, and it's all fishing guys. And there's no more bow riders. Everybody's out. And even the fishing guys, a lot of them are wrapping it up, packing the boat up. They're done. And usually, this is my week when I'd say, okay, the seals pop up. We get out there. We see all the birds in the bay. It's working. It's crazy. And 2 years ago, it was bass and blues in the mix. We haven't seen the blues at all like we have 2 years ago. This year, it was a slim pickings on the blues. They weren't here in the bay in areas where I could just go blind cast and know I'm going to hook into a gator bluefish. And it goes in cycles. And that's what the captain's log is all about, is the conditions, The full moon, the current really ripping. That tidal coefficient was 100 on Friday. It was moving. We were getting seaweed in the hooks, which hadn't happened at all on any of the tog trip. We weren't getting any of that. So I put the GoPro down here at the dock. And I love doing that from time to time. I'll even do it when we're out there in shallow, clear water. I'll drop it down. I have a milk crate that I designed for the GoPro. It's got dive weights hooked up to it and a couple of lines that I can steer it down to the bottom so I know how it's going to be sitting in the angle that I want, just like here at the dock. And I put it in the water here all day the other day. So I got home. I couldn't wait to review the footage and see maybe am I going to get a school of bass coming by? Am I going to see any squid in the water? What am I going to see? And out of a 7-hour recording session under the water, one tog. Yeah, I'll show them to you. I'll put them up on the screen here. I'm definitely going to start putting in some B-roll into the podcast. It's not that hard. I don't have to edit this. Like I said, guys, this is totally unscripted. It's raw. I'm sitting on the boat with a GoPro, microphone on the board. And the board was here, just because I can get better audio than using a, external microphone on a GoPro. And I love that it's just such a simple setup, and I don't have to go back and edit anything. So I'm not worried about making mistakes and editing because I'm just not going to do it. If I make a mistake, I'm going to keep it in there. So this is raw, uncut, unscripted, and that's my favorite part about Bay Rats and Buoys. So I can't wait to get Chef Rob in the mix, and I'll get back to the point here. But Chef Rob sent me a text message saying, I'm going to be in town for the holidays. He goes, me and you podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to hear the stories I'm going to tell with Chef Rob. It's absolutely unbelievable. So you're going to want to tune into that. And like I said, this time of the year, I'm sitting down here. I come down. I could do the spur of the moment. I don't want to time it with somebody and come down here. And, I just did the fishing report for the Long Island Fishermen, and I said stick around in the Facebook groups because this podcast will follow that. And so I think it's like the first time that I'm actually going to be wearing, the shirt that I wore in the Fisherman's Report that I'm doing in the podcast because I'm doing it all in one day right now, and I'm going to go put it up online, get it out. And if you guys want some of the stickers, you let us know. We'll be happy. We've been sending these out. So if you want a Bay Rats and Buoys sticker, let us know. We'll be happy to get you one. Just go to sandcitycharter.com and fill out the form. And we are asking people in the fishing report to help us name a striped bass that we tagged. So we tagged a couple of 12 inches and a 15-inch striped bass because the tagging company said to me they definitely want me to tag the smaller ones too. This way we're going to see them grow and see where they end up and see where people catch them next, which will be pretty cool. Can't wait to get any of that intel back. So we're going to fill these out meticulously and make sure they're filled out correctly. But we are asking people in the groups to help us name one of the 15-inch bass. So come up with a good name for a 15-inch bass. Now, a 12-inch bass is about 15 months old. So where were these fish 15 months ago? And now they're here, the body of fish, they were real small. So help us name one. Two of them that we name, we're going to name them after people that come on the boat and some nicknames and some fun stuff. So one of them we named Tommy Boy and Dan the Man. And we have a ton of fun with guys on the boat. So when we have fun with you guys, we're going to add your names to the fish and do some fun stuff and have a blast. That's what we're all about out here, guys. It's a ton of fun for us. This is, I turned a passion into a profession, and for me, it's just a lot of fun out here. So I'm like a little kid. When those birds are working and I see them with binoculars miles away, and I know I'm going to go over there and you guys are going to have light tackle and cast out and catch a ton of fish, I'm like a little kid, That's why you see some of the stuff on the boat is even black tip H, because Josh Jorgensen, he's the same way, When I watched his videos, he's just out there. He's like a little kid that's still hooking up to that first fish that he ever caught, and that is what I love. And that's what I love about being out here and fishing. For me, it's a ton of fun, and that tug is the drug. We all know what that's like. And as that sun goes down, it's getting chilly out here, guys. It's almost time for the sweatshirt. It really is. And we're 12 minutes into episode number 8, which is pretty cool. I can't believe I'm sitting on my boat the third week in November. Usually it's pretty cold down here on the north shore of Long Island. I'm on the East Coast, and the water temperature, you can see it behind me, like I said, it's 53 degrees. And the season's coming to a close. Usually by now, I'm starting to get prepared to haul the boat, bring it home, winterize it, and wrap it. And then, the end of March, that's really when I start. The last week in March is usually when I'm going to unwrap it and get everything ready. But it's just, we're in such a system now with doing it, and it's easy that there's nothing for us to do. But we are looking to grow, get bigger stuff, and throughout the wintertime, I'm going to show you guys all the secret weapons that we use, like I was showing people in the fishing report. When it's lights out with the birds like that, I'll even throw, a casting egg out there with nice, 8-foot fluorocarbon leader on there and start throwing some really small, light stuff, match the hatch and get these sand eels out there and get something like that to catch a 12-inch and a 15-inch bass. There's nothing better. So, guys, for me, the lighter the tackle, and I have such light rods. I have light spinning setups that feel they're as light as my fly rods, for sure. But that's the time of the year that we're going to throw some of the fun stuff and get these out there and let the bass chew and enjoy, and there's nothing better for me. And then in the wintertime, I'm going to show you guys, how we tie them, what we do, and how we use them, and what we do to customize some of the stuff that is store-bought and some of the spoons that we use. So I'm going to do that in the colder months when I have time in the studio, as opposed to sitting here on the boat and taking everything out and showing it to you guys. We'll do that in the wintertime. That'll be a perfect time. And we'll try to educate people towards the April part. So in February and March, we'll start warming people up of maybe, proper etiquette and what to do, and maybe make people better at fishing and boating and all that fun stuff. That's really where Bay Rats and Buoys, because I'm a Bay Rat. If you're a Bay Rat, then you're out in the bay all the time, whether you're a clammer, whether you're an oyster fisherman, or whether you're a mechanic. Whatever you do on a boat, you're out there all the time. So that's what a real Bay Rat is, somebody that's out there all the time. And they know the local waterways. We know these waters better than the back of our hands. We know when the fish are in the back. They're here in the harbor. We know we're in the back. We got Christian the mechanic out there running a boat right now, working on an engine, He's a Bay Rat. He's out there all the time. So if you're a Bay Rat, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate any feedback. If there's anything you want to hear or talk about, or any of the topics to cover, throw it into the comments. We'll be happy to. I read all the comments, guys, and I reply to a lot of stuff. And I'm in all the Facebook groups, guys, so I see all the fish you're posting, and I see the things people are doing wrong. It happens. It's it's part of social media. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Everybody is not educated when they get out there and catch fish, and I say educated in. You should know the regulations. That's part of being educated. If you're going to go out there and catch fish, and somebody says to you, "Hey, what's the striped bass limit here today?" and you go, "I have no idea." You probably shouldn't be fishing for striped bass if you don't know what the limit is, what the size limit is. So that's what I mean. Just educate yourself. Learn. That's what I love doing. I love growing, and you hear me say it in every episode. I'm like a sponge, so I love learning new things and love being taught new things like the spearfishing. I can't wait to do that in the springtime, and I actually can't wait to go do some destination spearfishing in warmer waters where I could really enjoy it and get down there and learn and see, and the visibility is amazing. And, I just don't want to have to run into any sharks. I mean, I saw a recent video where somebody ran into a seal, and they're here. And a week after we were spearfishing, I'm seeing the seals. So, they could have been down there in the reef with me. If I would have seen one of those, I don't know how happy I would have been. Do I go into panic mode? Am I fight or flight? Am I, what am I doing when I see a 300-pound seal that, I don't know what his reaction is going to be to me. And I learned don't dress like a seal. When you put on the outfit, you don't want to wear a black spearfishing outfit. You don't want to look like a seal. So, Jacob taught me a lot. And Kyle, those guys are awesome. I'm learning from the best. And I can't wait for that to grow. And Chef Rob, I can't wait to go spearfishing with Chef Rob. I mean, you wait till you hear the stories, guys. So you're going to hear him on. He's going to be here Christmas time. He's going to be in New York because he also moved to the Carolinas. And he sent me a text message, me and you, podcast, Christmas time. And I can't wait to have him in the studio because we won't be on the boat Christmas time, that's for sure. And if we are on the boat, it's going to be in a lot warmer weather somewhere south. So I'm coming south, guys, and if you're fishing south and you want to collaborate, don't be afraid to hit me up. I'll be happy to do the podcast from your boat somewhere warm, and we could talk about the fishing in your area and how great it is. And what you guys are catching and doing, because collaborations is what it's all about. I'm collaborating with people every week and sharing intel. I share intel with a lot of guys locally. I mean, I sit here and talk. Frank and Rob were out the other day. Both of them have spot lock on their boat. Both were out tog fishing. Nothing to brag about. There weren't any big 12, 10-pounders, 9-pounders. In fact, he was telling me that his buddy had spot lock and got on a wreck in a reef and caught 78 fish, and none of them were keepers. And, do we attribute that to the full moon on Friday? Do we attribute that to the tidal coefficient just ripping? I mean, it was moving. And in the video here at the dock that I told you, I put the video camera down for like 7 hours. It was down there. I got really good recordings. You can just see the tumbleweeds. You see the sediment in the water ripping and moving. And speaking of sediment in the water, Frank, you made a comment on YouTube that you went down to the stacks. And, it's funny when people call it these days the PSE and G stacks. Here in Northport, we have the 4 stacks. And that is to us, to any of the locals, that was the original Lilco plant, the Long Island Lighting Company. And I still, to this day, will only call it the Lilco stacks. And sailors know it as 1 stack. They get on the radio and they say, hey, I'm at 1 stack. And you'll know exactly where they are in the Long Island Sound, because when you pass the stacks, they all line up perfectly and make 1 stack. So everybody knows where you are. That's usually a sailor's terminology. And I learned that from somebody that does captain sailboats. So prior to that, I don't know if I would have called it said I'm at 1 stack ever. So the water was ripping and moving. And when we get a lot of those north winds, there's also a lot of debris in the water. As you can see now, you look in, you see leaves floating 4 or 5 feet down. They're all on the top of the surface. I even have a video here that when I was putting the GoPro down for the 7-hour stretch that it was down there, you could see from the bottom looking up into the sunlight, you could see all the sediment on the top of the water. So I'm going to show that to you here in some of the B-roll. I'm going to start putting B-roll into the podcast. and making the podcast video a little more entertaining than just sitting and looking at somebody talking. I am going to put some of the footage in there and reference some of the stuff and show you some of the rod bending on the sharks that we caught from the South Shore. I think I mentioned that in every episode. So now I'm going to throw a little B-roll in there and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But Frank, you made a comment on YouTube about you pulled a bunch of logs and branches that were big enough to do damage to a lower unit out of the water last week. After you heard the podcast, you listened about the cold water, and you went out there and you got to the ramp and you wound up pulling debris out and you didn't go out. I sent you a message. I replied to your YouTube comment, and I'm going to invite you out on the boat. Let's get out on some bass this week. The birds are working. They're here. Let's pick a day where it's not too windy and I can get you out there and get on the fish. Let's do that. Because I know you canceled your trip just because you had to remove all that stuff. Now, when we get north winds, stuff comes across the sound, and there is a lot of debris in the water. I come across that all season long. I've pulled out 10-foot, 10-by-6 beams. Now, these didn't come off of a dock. I mean, if they did, it was a big dock. It was huge. But there were pieces of wood, and there were logs that I pulled up that I gaffed, that I couldn't even lift up with the gaff, that I actually had to reach into the water and grab them. And when I dropped them on the boat, it was this giant thud. It was just like boom. So there's a lot of times I pick a lot of debris out of the water because I'm out there every day. So my son, he's 12 now, he insists on stopping and grabbing the balloons when we see the balloons in the water. So he won't stand for that. And we got to make a few videos about that too, as you know, people letting the balloons go after the parties, whether you have the arches or the archways or any of this stuff. Just pop them, guys. Pop them and throw them out. Do not let those balloons and the archways go, because it's cool for 30 seconds to watch it fly away till you can't see it anymore. It ends up in the waterways. It always does. We find the balloons. Every week there's balloons out there. So we're going to try to help that cause too, because we saw the dolphins swimming through this year, and huge pot of them right here on the Long Island Sound. It was flat like glass, and it was so cool. And I could reference that video because I'm going to throw some B-roll in. And you could see the dolphins swimming by here in the video. So the debris in the water is definitely all year long. It's not something that happens just now. But when we get a lot of wind out of the north, I think we get some stuff that comes across the sound, or, it's just high winds. Anytime that there's going to be winds to 30, 40 miles an hour, you're going to get debris in the water. We haven't had any rain, so it isn't runoff. And, man, we haven't had any rain in months. I think we're going to get rain this week, maybe for the first time. I saw some rain in the forecast, which I guess is good. Good for the lawns. Good to get some water, but it's also been pretty good for the boats that we haven't gotten any rain. And this time of the year, you guys got to worry about your bilges still working and all that activity, because boats do go down. We do salvage them, and we do see them sink often enough that it's usually people not tending to the boat for a month or two, and it tends to be this time of the year. And happily, we have not gotten any of those calls. I did see in one of the Facebook groups, a guy did post a picture of his boat, sunk on his dock, and he was asking for suggestions. And I said, hey, listen, the first question they're going to ask you to salvage it is they're going to ask you, who's your insurance company? And unfortunately for him, he said the boat was not insured. So that happens as well. And then the expense is on the owner. And you got to pay to have it removed, and it happens. Just like they spoke about, that was last week's podcast, is really the cold water and the guys in Milford. They were still making announcements this week on Channel 16 for that boat, that there's still a half-sunken vessel in, Milford. And it does happen. So I don't know. The insurance on the boats really isn't that expensive. It's not crazy, and I'll always, I'm a charter, so I have special insurance for the boat and cover the charters, and I think it's real important. So, as do others. And if you're in a marina, it's a requirement. So if you keep your boat on a private dock somewhere, there may not be a requirement to have insurance, but you have to show proof of insurance when you pay for a slip and fill out a contract, which everybody's filling out now for the 2025 season. In fact, today in the mail, I got my renewal from the DEC and for the charter licenses and all that stuff. So, that's the exciting time of the year for us now. We pack up a boat, and we're getting ready for the 2025 season, which, it's 5 months away already for us. But, man, I got to tell you, it's a long 5 months. So we're prepared. We're prepared to fish in the wintertime. We got destination trips, like I said, and we will also be fly fishing locally. And in the fishing magazine this month, there's articles about it already, Fishing the Connie, which is here on Long Island, the Connecticut River, and it's one of my favorite places to go in the colder months. It really is. I have a ton of fun fishing there, and we go 3-4 of us, and we take over a section of the river, and we have fun time. It's just great. It is, and it can be cold. You can go on days there where there's snow on the banks, and last year we didn't get too much snow. So in the springtime, the water temp was actually a little warmer, and we had oversized slot bass on opening day when we took Jason and his family out on April 15th. April 15th, that season starts, guys. So the striped bass charters are booked April 15th to June 15th. That window fills up real fast. In fact, it'll fill up at when people go to the boat shows and they see you, that's when they're going to book those times to get, Jason had booked April 15th early, in February. And you don't know what weather you're going to get on April 15th, but man, it was lights out. Fishing was incredible. And we got halfway across the bay, just to tell you a quick little story about the beginning of the season. Forecasting ahead, we got out to April 15th, and we were going to head out into the bay and go peek out into the sound and see what was going on. And a 350-pound seal just picked his head up. Again, we thought it was a log. They just lay flat in the water. And then all of a sudden, you see them pick their head up, and they hear the boat, and they look back to see what it is. We saw that seal, and I knew right away. I'm like, oh, man, the seals are out here. Let's go into the back. Let's go see what's... And sure enough, we were catching really nice striped bass. We knew exactly where they were. We made the right turn. We got right in there. It was awesome. And, it'll be fun to have some of these guys come on. We get a lot of good commentaries on the YouTube. Nothing better than Scott, Matt, and Jera. I mean, that trip was just epic. And we're going to talk about a lot of these trips now. I'm going to get Corey, my mate, on, and we'll tell you some of the stories of the clients that we've had on the boat and the friends that we've made over the years of doing this here. And, we get a lot of repeat customers, guys that come out 3-4 times a year. And even next week's charter, they've been out twice already. This is their third trip. And you become friends. And it's great to, it's great camaraderie out there on the water. And it's a ton of fun. It really is. But I'm going to get some of the guys that come on all the time to tell you some of the stories. When they caught the 47-pounder at the end of the trip, they told you guys how it happened. I mean, when we pulled the fish up, I think the dad said that he thought it was a scuba diver. I mean, the thing was huge. 48-inch bass is a big fish for our area. That's big. That's, we're happy to catch something like that. And, again, CPR, catch, photo, release, get it. It's tough to do. But when you're conscious about it, you got to do it. No doubt. Hey, see the boats rocking around right now? That's Christian. He just flew by, tested an engine here in the harbor. Go get him. Where's the harbor master? Go get Christian. No, but that's what happens, guys. This time of the year, guys fly in and out. And, in a marina, the boats rock around. That's why it's a no-wake zone, Christian. It's a no-wake zone. Anyway, we love breaking balls down here. That is one thing we're really good at. And so I can't believe it's the third week in November. I'm sitting on my boat. The sun is dropping. It's going down. And it was either do it here today or do it tomorrow in the studio. And I really want to end the season doing them as much as I can and be a trooper and sit on the boat and do as many podcasts as I can. I can't wait till next year to do them all on the boat with guests. And hopefully we have some really good news throughout the winter time and we get to brag about a few things. We do have some good news and good things happening. And the podcast, guys, is really taking off. Just got an email yesterday about 250 downloads that it had gotten over the past week. which was really good. So it's really getting its traction. It's getting 8,000 to 9,000 views on Facebook, which is a pretty good amount of views, and it's growing on YouTube. That channel, the YouTube channel, is growing every week with hundreds of new subscribers. So we really appreciate you guys, and we're going to give away some free stuff, We're giving away free merch. I already said we're giving away the stickers. If you want to go to sandcitycharter.com and get yourself a sticker, fill out the form. We'll be happy to get those out to you. Just in the comments, just put free sticker and your mailing address or Bay Rats and Buoys sticker, whatever you put. Just put your address in there. We'll know we want us to send you a sticker, and we'll get those out in the mail. I just stopped the post office this morning on the way down to the marina and mailed out, over 50 stickers to people. So we appreciate you guys asking. The merchandise is coming, the T-shirts, the sweatshirts, the hats, all that stuff's coming, guys. And that's going to be a wintertime thing for us. And episode 8, on the boat. We're right on time, too. 31 minutes goes fast when you're sitting on the boat having a good time. So, if you have any friends in any of your text groups, shoot them a text and say, hey, go check it out, Bay Rats and Buoys. We're looking to grow this thing locally. We're going to get a lot of the local guys involved. I'm going to start mentioning, like guys at the fuel dock just closed up this week. So Friday, they said was going to be their last day. And sure enough, Saturday was their last day, closed up over the weekend. And, the fuel dock is boarded up. So I filled up the boat. And we still have fuel docks that are open here. But Wyncote, my favorite fuel dock, is going to be closed down for the season now. So that ended on Friday for them. And just talking to guys like Rich and, guys that are really into the podcast. I mean, he's going down south wintertime, so a lot of guys take boats and they go down south. And it's just great getting the feedback that I get from these guys locally. It really is. So this is a ton of fun. And we're going to keep it going, and it's going to grow, and it's growing at a great rate. And I really appreciate you guys, and I want to show my appreciation to you by giving away some free merch to the guys that are really into it and show us and tell us that they're dedicated listeners and they're following and they're sharing it and all that fun stuff. So, guys, let's keep it going. Bay Rats and Buoys is going to grow in 2025. It's going to be an epic year. Looking forward to it. And I think we got at least another week left here on the North Shore of Long Island. So I'm super excited. 55 degrees outside today. Water temps 53, 56 out in the Sound. They're squid fishing here in the harbor at nighttime. And I'm really excited to be part of the excitement down here. That's it. It's just an exciting time of the year. And we're closing it out. Bay Rats and Buoys, episode number 8. Wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and I'll see you out on the water, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gaige on all our social media channels.